I don't know that I've ever in my broadcasting, whether it's radio or television career, ever said the refs cost a team a game. Because unless it is like the referees allowing a buzzer beater that was after the buzzer,
right?
There's too much butterfly effect, too many other opportunities after a devastating call for teams to get over it. This is as close as you can come, though. And the reason is because I believe the refs broke the rules. And so there were 2 separate instances where KD had the ball stripped cleanly, they called fouls. That happens. Right here, we get block charges wrong all the time. I think they got this one right. If in real time they had called it a block, so be it. But the audience needs to understand what the NBA rules are. You cannot review if something was a block or a charge based on movement, based on leaning.
So even if I have one call and another guy has another call on the field, because on the court, that's what you have with Tony Brothers and Ken Mauer right there. You don't go to it then?
You can't. You're not allowed to go to review there. The only way you're allowed to review this is to see if the player is inside the charge circle. Now, the NBA adjusted the rule 2 years ago that if you're reviewing, if they're inside the charge circle, then you can review all of it. You can say, oh, he was out of the charge circle, but it was a block. That's what the referees ended up doing. The reason I'm saying the referees broke the rules is I don't believe they were actually reviewing if he was in the charge circle.
So you think the play, and initially thinking going there to look at it, and then once they were there, then they changed it based on looking at the rest of the video?
I think they only went to it because they wanted to be able to change it because one guy called a block, one guy called a charge. You cannot see this play in the position Ken Mauer is in and think there is any question LeBron's inside that charge circle. He's closer to the semicircle under the free throw line than the charge circle. Both feet are at least 2 feet out of the charge circle. So that's my problem. I feel like the refs broke the rules, and forget the fact that I think it was a charge and they overturned it wrong. The refs broke the rules in looking at it.
And Mauer was right there, had the perfect angle right there in the corner. I think once he makes the call, he looks up and sees his partner, Tony Brothers, calls something else, calls block. So that's what made them come together.
But you've got to listen. There are times where I understand the referees wish they could change what the rules of engagement are. There are times where late in games when they go to review, and they called it the ball going one way. And on review, they're like, oh, it's going the other way, but only because the guy got fouled. The referees are not allowed in real time to say, you know what, we're going to disregard that, give it to the other. They have to go with what the rules are. And the referees here, in my opinion, broke the rules. Ken Mauer, Tony Brothers, nobody thought LeBron was in that charge circle. And the only way you're allowed to go to review is to see if he's in the charge circle. So should LeBron be upset? They were going to be up 2 with the ball with less than 40 seconds remaining. Of course he should be upset. Everyone should be upset. Ty Lue says we were robbed. An anonymous Cavs player said Ken Mauer bleeped us. LeBron seemed devastated by it. All these things are legitimate.
But do you think that's why the Cavs lost the game?
No, I'm like Nick. I don't get into the refs winning and losing games. Fans, I believe, go to extremes because they like to make excuses for their teams winning and losing. Unless it's the last play, things happened after this that were more critical than that call. All right? The Cavs had an opportunity. LeBron's got the ball. He hits George Hill. He gets fouled. He's at the free throw line. The game's over with. He makes another free throw. They get one stop. So if you play good, the calls work themselves out. So I don't know. It's not the referee's fault, but it's hard to overcome the referees and forgetting what the score are.
And Jenna, to specifically answer your question, I'm not comfortable saying the referees cost the Cavs the game. I am comfortable saying this. If that call doesn't get overturned, the Cavs win. If it's Cavs ball up 2 with 35 seconds left, they are going to win that basketball game. The reason I'm not saying the refs cost them the game is that call didn't happen the way it should have, and they still had a chance to win the basketball game. They still had an 80% free throw shooter at the line, tie game, and they had the ball with 4 seconds left, tie game, and didn't know the score.
Well, let's talk about why they didn't know the score.
Games like this aren't great, right? Because he sees the guys around him, he sees the level at which he's playing, and they still can't get over the hump. But I think something else happened yesterday that actually is more of a sign and has more of an impact about LeBron's future than the basketball game. And that was a tweet sent by the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs owner Dan Gilbert sent a string of tweets yesterday. Here's the third one talking about the Cavs making it to the finals. And he says, quote, trade 1.0 last summer and trade 2.0 at the deadline, saying the Kyrie trade is one of the reasons the Cavs are in this position. He sends that tweet the day that LeBron's interview, where LeBron, for the first time ever, publicly admits, I went to ownership and asked them not to trade Kyrie Irving. That is not a mistake. That is not a coincidence. That is not an accident. That is something of a, let me remind everybody who's in charge. Let me remind everybody who orchestrated that trade. Let me remind everybody who actually owns this basketball team. And LeBron does not have time for that or interest in working for that man anymore, because let's not get it twisted. While people act like LeBron's the GM, coach, and owner of the Cavs, he's none of the above. He's just the best player. And I think that relationship is almost in as bad of a situation as it's been. I think that has more of an impact than JR forgetting the score.
It's about where can he win championships. Where do I have the talent that's going to support me? And what are his family needs? What's important to him and his family? I told you before, I believe his sons, 13 and 11, based on LeBron, they will have a say in what he decides to do. I don't believe last night's game will have any type of impact on what LeBron does going forward. To me, Nick and I are we have enough information about the story to realize that it's going to be hard to impossible to keep LeBron in Cleveland. If it's about championships, it's about getting to the finals. Yeah, he might stay in the East, but I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked with this talent, with all the look at the assets in trade one, and in, more importantly, in trade number 2. All right, Rodney Hood not playing, Jordan Clarkson ridiculous, George Hill. Look at him. He's averaging less than 10 points. Like, when you need him, not stepping up. JR is still there for another year. Yeah. Like, it becomes difficult of what you expect from LeBron.
But even if you take his kids out of it and you take Dan Gilbert out of it, he hasn't had fun this year. This has not been the way LeBron James wants to play basketball. Like when he played with Dwayne Wade and when he played down in Miami. It's just been a series of constant questions and constant, now how am I going to have to do it? Now how do I pull a rabbit out of the hat? And this has been going on all season. It's not like it was a month or it was a stretch. He's just not enjoying playing basketball. And I know he wants to win championships, but if this is going to be the last 3 to 5 years of his career, he wants to also enjoy what he's doing and where he is.
Yeah, I have to disagree with you as far as him not enjoying playing. And the reason why is because he played in 82 games. If an NBA star is not happy playing, you know what they do? They take some games off. LeBron said in the interview earlier this week, with the second trade, I just reset everything. You know, he said, I'm going to get the best out of this year. He said, I'm going to get everything I can out of this year. And being the type of player that he is with the demands that are on his game, unlike Nick, we wouldn't see the 50-point game if he didn't have no supporting cast. So for me, LeBron is a basketball savant. He loves playing basketball. He wants to win, and he wants to win championships.
But when it comes to figuring out where LeBron's going next, here's the thought exercise I would ask the audience to do. Take LeBron off the Cavs for a moment. Pretend he doesn't currently play for them. Look at the roster. Look at the assets. And would that even be a top 25 destination for him? Okay, so here are the places you can go, LeBron. You can go to the Sixers. You have Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. You got some cap space. You can go to the Lakers. They basically have a blank slate. Magic Johnson's run thing. Paul George probably go with you. I mean, you can go to Houston. They're already recruiting you. Chris Paul's there. James Harden's there. You can go to Cleveland. Okay, so who's Cleveland got? Well, they got Jordan Clarkson for the next 2 years at $13 million. Kevin Love's on a max deal. They do have the 8th pick of the draft, though, and they got this owner who you have some bad blood with. Like, name a team that is less attractive if you remove LeBron from the roster in Cleveland. Sacramento? Okay. Dallas? Maybe, but at least you trust Mark Cuban. Like, there's not 5 teams that if you remove LeBron are in a worse basketball situation.
The only thing going for him is that it's home. So it's not like it's Sacramento. It's just a random team where he doesn't have any ties to.
It's the closest basketball team to home. Because here's the thing. LeBron will tell you this. Maverick will tell you this. His circle will tell you this. Akron is home. LeBron does not own a home in Cleveland. LeBron is not from Cleveland. When these guys were coming up in Akron, guess what? They didn't like Cleveland. Cleveland treated them as the little brother town when they went to go play in basketball tournaments. They were considered these guys from the outskirts. Like, so Cleveland, what does he always say? You don't hear LeBron say a ton about Cleveland. He says a ton about Northeast Ohio. And like I'm not from Ohio, obviously you are, but and you're from Middletown, which is smaller than Akron.
Right.
So tell me if I'm out of bounds here. But like from what LeBron is all about Akron.
Yeah, I'm from southwestern Ohio. LeBron has always made that distinction, and he can still do the things for the community in Akron from abroad. They know they're an international brand. Now, where they decide to play basketball will have nothing to do with because I'm from there. He's already delivered on the promise.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.